Hey, good morning. I'm the Cheap Audio Man, Randy. Come on in, have some coffee. Let's talk about audio. This is not me, by the way. It's a friend. He gave it to me for Christmas. It's a very nice gift that keeps on giving. Anyway, today we're going to talk about the Edifier R1700 BTS. It's this little guy right here. What is he, or she, or it, if it's non-binary? It's a powered speaker, powered monitor, as some people like to call them. I call them powered speakers. 4-inch little woofer here, 3/4 inch soft dome tweeter. Puts out, it says 66 watts per channel, but I mean, that doesn't really matter to me. It's got tone controls, treble, bass, and then a volume knob. I never found them to be particularly effective. The tone controls, that is. I mean, they do change it and it makes it sound different, but yeah, it is what it is. All right, so what's on the back? On the back, you have 2 analog inputs. You have this guy, which connects to the other speaker, connects power and signal to the other speaker, and then you have sub out. That's very important because the non-subwoofer out version of this is very popular on Amazon. It's actually sold, it actually has like, I think 3,700 reviews, 3,900 reviews, and it's basically 4.5 stars. This is $160. The non-sub out is $150. You're gonna want to spend the extra $10. Actually, I was the first person to review this on Amazon, and you can read my review. I almost returned them because I thought their bass was unusable. Now, when I first plugged them in and turned them on, I didn't hear anything probably below like 150 hertz. It was just, to me, it wasn't very good. Now, I did leave them on all night. They loosened up and they got a little bit deeper. But for my use case, you really need a subwoofer. And it doesn't have to be a fancy subwoofer. So this has a remote and it has Bluetooth. And as I talked about in another one of my videos about Bluetooth codecs, it's the Topping BC3 video. I highly recommend you watch that if you want to learn more about Bluetooth codecs. And actually, there's another video that I talked about the best music streamers and a streamer. You should watch that one as well. Anyway, this can do aptX HD, which means, in theory, that you can stream high-res music to this via Bluetooth. I generally listen, I turn my phone on and I listen to Bluetooth music, Amazon HD, via Bluetooth to these guys. And this is my work. See, I got stuff on the wall and everything. They're very good. They're very good for that purpose. Actually, they're phenomenal. And the reason why I say they're phenomenal is they are the best sound staging and imaging speaker that I've heard on my desk. I think there's a couple reasons why. Because on powered monitors, you can use what's called DSP. DSP is digital signal processing to do crossovers. And crossovers is which frequencies are sent to which driver. A low-pass crossover will send low frequencies to the woofer, which it should. Not all of them, just at a certain point, it will send them down to the woofer. High-pass frequencies sends only the high frequencies to the tweeter. There are things that you can do with DSP that you can't do with a passive crossover. Passive crossovers are a collection of capacitors, resistors, and inductors to send specific frequencies specific ways. When you have a DSP, you can do all sorts of things with phase. What is phase? Phase is when this driver is going and this driver is going. There's a sine wave. Music makes a sine wave. And if the drivers are out of phase, they will cancel some frequencies out. The bottom line is you want both your drivers in phase so that you're hearing the music the way it's supposed to be. with DSP, you can do a lot of that. So another thing is they have it's called natural sound now. Anyway, they have a mode in here that you can change it, and it's supposed to make the soundstage even bigger, more 3D. And while it does work, it doesn't sound very good to me. And if you put it in there, it changes a lot of things as far as what is the speaker producing. And it produces a lot higher. It gets very bright when you put it into that mode. Now, yes, it does get bigger, and it gets taller, and it gets everything deeper, but it doesn't sound very good to me. What sounds the best to me is running a sub out, and this is a 3.5 millimeter to RCA. So, and it comes with that. It comes with the cord. So you run the cord out of here into a subwoofer, and then you do all the crossovers in the subwoofer. Now, the subwoofer that I have is a very cheap 8-inch monoprice. I think it was like $60. But I had to turn the crossover, and crossover again is which frequencies the sub is accepting. I had to turn it way up to like over 100. I think almost maxed out, and max out on that subwoofer is 150 hertz. However, when I did that, it sounded great. It sounded huge. It sounded like a big system. And I don't have to turn it up very loud. Now, granted, I'm in my office, so I'm only about 3 feet, maybe 4 away from them. But it sounds great. Soundstage is wide, soundstage is deep, soundstage is high, and it really sounds awesome to me. I don't use the analogs. I used the DAC and ran the DAC from my computer, and then ran a 3.5 or a RCA's out, 3.5, 2 RCA's out of the DAC, and it was a little headphone DAC. Did it improve the music quality? Yes, but I mean, for my use case, I'm just working at my desk and I just want some good music. I didn't really feel like I needed it. What you could use this for is obviously a desk setup, and that's what I'd recommend. You could use it kind of as a soundbar replacement, but this doesn't have any digital inputs. So if you do that, if you want to run your TV out to this, unless your TV has RCA outs, which most modern TVs generally don't have right now, you'd have to buy a little optical to RCA, and really what it is, it's a little DAC. Is it going to be the best sound quality? No. But they're about 10, 15 bucks on Amazon, and you can get it going. So then what you'd have is you'd have your speakers, replacing your TV speakers, which is going to sound way better. I think these probably sound way better than any soundbar you could get, unless you get into the really high-end stuff. And then you have Bluetooth, and you have a good Bluetooth codec. So you can do high-res Bluetooth if your device supports it. With the analogs in here, what else can you connect? Well, you can connect a CD player that has analog outs, so not a CD transport, but a CD player. You can connect an external DAC, but again, I mean, you have to buy the external DAC, or you can buy one of the little cheap external DACs. You can't hook up a phono unless it has an internal phono preamp, because there's no grounding right here, and you have to boost the signal from your record player. So if you had an external phono preamp, yes, you can connect it to here. Obviously, anything you can connect to analogs, you can connect there. But for what they are, they're $160. I think they're a big buy. If you're going to use these anywhere other than a desktop setup, it probably needs to be a pretty small room. I would also recommend getting a sub. To me, without a sub, these just don't do it for me. And I'm surprised the non-sub version has as many great reviews as it does, because it just doesn't do it for me. Actually, without a sub, these sounded like any Logitech speaker you can get. But they do image better. They do soundstage way better than the Logitech stuff. It just doesn't go deep. And I want my music to be purely fleshed out. I want to hear all of it. But they're very, very, very good for sound staging and imaging. They're very, very clear. You do have tone controls. I don't see that I need them. I don't see that I'm turning the treble or bass up or anything. Now, when you hook up a sub, it is supposed to put a high pass filter on the speakers so that they're not trying to reproduce the low frequencies. When I plugged it in and unplugged it, I couldn't really hear a difference. I think the high pass that it's supposed to implement is about, I think, 120 hertz, something like that. But again, I didn't hear it. Does that make a difference? Not really for me. I just got my sub. So if you get a sub, hook it up, get your sub, turn these on, turn these up pretty high, and then turn the volume up on your sub until it seems like it's a good fit. And then turn the crossover on your sub up until you find a good fit. And you may need to tweak it here and there. And then you're good. And then depending, if it's a desktop situation, it's not really going to matter. If you're in a room, you might need to move the sub around a little bit. But again, I don't really think these are meant for anything other than a pretty small room, like a bedroom, maybe a small living room if you're in an apartment or something like that. They get pretty loud. But again, you don't want to, and I think they have like a limiter on these. So if you're trying to push them too hard, they'll limit it. So to protect the speaker. So are these going to be really, really super dynamic? Probably not. But in a small room, again, they're not meant to be. So for what they are, I think they're great. Obviously, they're front ported. My desk, I've got a lot of room behind me, so the desk is not like against the wall. And they throw a really big and deep soundstage and a high soundstage. They sound really good. They're angled up. Now, if you wanted them, you could just put something underneath them to kind of straighten them out. But yeah, for 160 bucks, I think it's I think in the right situation, it's a buy. You don't have to buy an external amp. Amp's already there. You have Bluetooth. You can be up and running as soon as you plug them in and run the other cord to the other one. Get a sub though. If you're gonna get these, get a sub. Go get a little tiny cheap sub from Monoprice. Get a cheap sub on Facebook Marketplace. Just get a cheap sub. Now it needs RCAs, two RCAs. Otherwise, you're only gonna get half the bass from one channel. But yeah, they're good. They're really good, and they're really pretty too. The grain on here is really good. I mean, I like the two-tone. They're a handsome speaker. Handsome speaker. So yeah. On the remote, you can switch inputs, stuff like that. So it's cool. It's very good. It's very good. For 160 bucks, I don't think you can go wrong. If your use case is right for it. So that's it. Oh, I did today the ELAC debut 6.2 came in. They're at my house right now. I'm going to do a kind of initial impressions video on that today. I've got to go out of town tomorrow, but I'm still make videos. I'm going to start doing some IEMs, in-ear monitors, or earbuds, as most people call them. So anyway, like the channel. If you like this video, like the channel. If you didn't like it, like the channel anyway. Subscribe anyway. I guarantee if you stick with me, I'm going to bring you some type of value eventually, if I haven't already. So, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man. I want to bring the most musical enjoyment to you for the least amount of money. And I think you can do that. There's all sorts of stuff you can do. Anyway, have a great day and hope to see you soon.